Hello, welcome to UTS RC, and today we're going to be doing something that I've been putting off for a little while. So yes, I've been putting this job off for a while, and that job is the diff oil on the touring car. Now, because this was new to me, it wasn't a kit that I built, so I'm always a little bit daunted in taking something apart that I didn't build, with the fear of not putting it back together, because I know it works, and the fear is that I put it back together and it doesn't work how it used to do. And you look at all these bits and pieces and you look how it goes together and you think, where do I start? So I've basically downloaded the manual. Now the manual is brilliant. It takes everything. It tells you everything, which is what a manual is to do. So with that said, let's get on. Let's change the diff oil in the touring car.
Right, so the first thing we need to do is to get the shock towers off. So there are a couple of hexes here and hexes here. So with a 2mm hex drive, we will get those off. So let's get on with that. Okay, I think it's simply just a case of, yep, there we go. So there's the shock towers off. So we will put it over there, out of the way, put the screws over there as well. So the next thing, looking at this, I would say would be the diff cover, which is this. So there's 4 hex screws there. So we will get those off. So this is a good thing to do because I do need to tighten up this rear belt. It seemed to be a little bit loose on the last race night, so we can get the diff oil changed and we can also put some tension back into that rear belt. There we go, all 4 screws out. That should now just lift off, which it does. Happy days. Now I think what I will also do is just take these off as well. Like that. And there we have the diff cover off. I'll put that over there with the 4 screws. Jobs are got it. Hopefully, we'll pull these apart here. The whole of the diff should lift out. And there we go. Just take that belt off, and there we have 1 rear diff. So looking at that, there are, now these are the tensioners here. I think once we put it back in, we'll move these tensioners back, because as you can see, they are not quite circular. So if the car's facing that way, if you push that back, because it's wider, it will push the diff that way. And obviously if we go this way, it will push the diff back, causing the belt to tighten. However, looking at this, it looks like there's 4 screws, and then we can get the oil out of that one and the new oil in. Okay, so I'm just on the last screw now, and I think, looking at these bearings, we will give those a bit of a clean, and we'll put some bearing oil on those once they get back into the car. And as I do with any oil changes, just get yourself a little vessel, put yourself some tissue in the bottom. This is just kitchen roll. So that will hopefully collect any of the oil that is going to spill out. So now I'm expecting to see a gasket in there. There it is, the gasket is in there. That looks okay. We will just let this oil tip out. That does look a fairly thick oil now. That needs to be a lot thinner. So we will get this oil out. And I will come back to you once it's all out and cleaned. That's all the oil out. What I did say, or forgot to say, sorry, was you will need a 1.5mm hex to get the small screws out of the diff. However, as you can see, the oil is now out. It's not fully out, but it's out as much as I can get it out. There's also a small rubber ring here that goes on the outer edge. That's been taken out and cleaned. And the same with this one. Just taking it apart and just tidied it up a little bit. Next thing to do is get some bearing oil on here. Just giving over a quick wipe out. We could just do with another wipe out, still a bit dirty that one. Then we shall get the oil in. Now for this oil we're using 5000 CST. Let's get it in. So that's the bearings done. Let's now get the oil put in the diff. Nice and slow, just let it find its own way in there. Let it settle for a little minute. See that it'll focus. Just below the seal line there. A couple of little bubbles in there. Try and work those out a little bit. We'll focus. There we go. A little bit more in there, and then we can get it all back together again. We are. That was just a case of putting it all back together. I'll come back to you when I've done that. And there we have one diff all back together. So now the next thing is to get it back in the car and get that belt tensioned. So we put the belt back on and get these adjusters so it makes it fit the diff holder. Like so. And that, straight off the bat, is really quite a good tension. So we'll keep it at that. I was going to show you how to tension it, but it seems to have taken that job away from me. So right, let's get it all back together then. So there we go, there's the rear of the car all back together. So we just need to do the front now. So that is how you do the rear diff oil replacement on the Yokomo RS2. Right, let's move on to the front. Now this looks slightly more in depth, so I'm going to have to take the front bumper off. We do need to take the shock towers off as well. And also, I think we need to take, there's a bracket there which holds the suspension arms in, so we're going to have to take that off so we can get to the diff. So let's crack on with that now. So, if you can see it, but it's this little piece here that we need to take off. Obviously there's going to be 2 screws underneath. So, let's take the top bit off first. Right, so we just need to slide that back out and off so I can get it off the belt. A little bit fiddly. You know what? I'm going to do this off camera. I'll come back to you. 1 minute. So that was a little bit more trickier than first thought. We've had to remove the top deck. The other section I've now got out. That was sat at the bottom here, so it was actually going over the bottom of the belt, so it meant that I couldn't actually remove the diff because there was too much pressure. However, now we've got all that out, we can get the diff out, we can get the screws out. Don't forget as well, you're going to need your 1.5mm hex, and let's get the oil drained out of that and the new stuff in. Right, let's get this diff out. Just like before. Get the belt off. There we go. There's the diff. There's the tensioners again, so I can put those back in and adjust the belts once that all is all back together. Just like before, 4 bolts on the top. We'll get that drained out, get it cleaned up, and we'll get the new oil in and get it all reinstalled. So looking at the consistency of this oil, I would say that it is on a par with the 500,000 oil that I am going to be putting back into it, because it is literally like silicon, but there's not a lot in it. There's not a lot of oil in there. If that was me, I think I would have had a lot more oil. But again, let's give this a clean out, get some fresh oil in, because let's be honest, fresh oil is never a bad thing, and we'll have a right good clean up because it is pretty grim. So there we go, just as before, we've given it a good clean up. We've taken this outer ring out, given that a good clean, given the other little teeth in there a clean up and put those back in. It's time to get the oil in now. So for this time, for the front, we're using 500,000. Now basically what this is like is it is very thick, not dissimilar to what we've just taken out, and this will give the effect of basically like locking the diff. So as we did in the last one, we apply it nice and slowly, if it will actually come out, that is. I think we may have to tease this one out a little bit. I think I'm going to have to do a slightly different approach with this one. Let's get a palette knife. That's a lot thicker, it's like honey. Right. Let that find its way into there. Sorry, would help if it was in camera, wouldn't it? There we go. Right in there. Not entirely sure if this is the right way, but this is the first time of doing this, so we are all learning at this point. Let's just try for a little bit more. Not a lot, because there's not an awful lot of room left. Goodness me, that is thick. It's like tar. Over the top, like so. And I think that should just be enough. What I'll do is I'll put the lid on now. I'll get it all sealed. I'll get the bearing oil on there again because we've cleaned those up. We'll put it back together and we'll see how that feels. Watch this space. So there we have it, one diff back together. Gotta be honest, that was some pretty grim stuff. However, we've used a little bit of brake cleaner because obviously you get a little bit of overfill when you tighten these up. But it is all tidied, it's all clean, so we're just going to put some bearing oil in and get it all back together. I'll come back to you when it's all done. So there we go, everything is now back together. I've just stuck a battery in it, done a little bit of a test run. Everything's working fine, so hopefully the next time it hits the track, we'll be doing even better. So there we go, diff oil changed. I don't really know what I was worried about. I'm used to building Tamiya kits. Obviously this isn't a Tamiya, but it's still a kit. Did I read the manual beforehand? No. Am I glad I read it now? Yes, I am. Again, it's just a kit. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid of taking it apart to see actually how it does work and how it goes back together. It's yeah, it sort of gives you a bit of I know it sounds daft, but gives you a bit of an accomplishment. It kind of makes you feel good that you've gone, yeah, I've done that, I fixed that, or I've repaired that, or I've replaced that. So not only are you replacing the oil, you're giving it a clean up, you're doing the bearings, you're doing the belts, everything has had
a really good going over. So now I know that on the track, the only thing that's going to be at fault is the driver. But anyway, thanks for watching, guys, as ever. Give us a like, give us a thumbs up, and we'll see you on the next. Bye for now.